the stereo to that rock and roll. He was living free and wild, just a kid raising a child. I'd say, Daddy, turn it up. He'd turn and smile. If I could close my eyes and hit rewind, that's just what I do. 'Cause these days the simple things are getting harder to hold on to. Every time it gets like that, I go back to Fleetwood Mac on Daddy's 8-track. On Daddy's 8-track. Where's that girl I used to be, bouncing around in those bucket seats? Sometimes just to take a drive, that's all I need. Like I climb into that two-tone van. When you're grown, nobody holds your hand. But he felt then, now I understand. If I could close my eyes and hit rewind, that's just what I do. 'Cause these days the simple things are getting harder to hold on to. Every time it gets like that, I go back to Fleetwood Mac on Daddy's 8-track. Bob Seger turned the page, Stevie Skinner, the good old days. If I could close my eyes and hit rewind, that's just what I do. 'Cause these days the simple things are getting harder to hold on to. Every time it gets like that, I go back to Fleetwood Mac on Daddy's 8-track. On Daddy's 8-track. The first musical memory that I have would be in my dad's old Chevy van. It had a round table in the back, shag carpet. The console was big, and he played 8 tracks. And I remember him playing Stevie Nicks, Edge of 17, Leonard Skinner, That Smell. And it wasn't country music that I play now, but it was that Southern rock, and it had a very big influence on me. And that's probably some of the earliest musical memories that I have. I think country music to America just resembles the working class, our everyday lives. You know, you can hear parts of people's stories in each style of music, but I think country music tends to, a lot of times, there's more of the storytelling, and there's, you know, heartbreak and working hard. It's the songwriting. I think that's what people identify with in country music. It's, you know, they're living their lives, and it's the soundtrack to their lives. My influencers in country music, I love, you know, I love a lot of the females from the 80s and 90s because they were just these forces, you know, like Reba McEntire. When you heard her voice, you knew it was Reba McEntire, but she also had this presence and this thing. Her, you know, the Judds. I loved Shania Twain. Shania Twain was actually probably her and randomly Mariah Carey were the two artists where I finally realized that there are songwriters, and that opened up a whole new world to me. But I love them. You know, I love Gary Stewart. He was more of a honky-tonker in Texas. Just anything that's traditional, but I love the neo-traditional country music nowadays, like Midland, John Party. There's a trio, a new group of girls called Runaway June. They kind of have, it's a modern style, but a throwback vibe at the same time. But I love all styles, and you know, I can find something positive in almost any country music artist, but those are the people, I think when you're younger, you're just more impressionable, and so you latch on to artists maybe back then, you know. So that was the class of country music women and men when I was growing up. It was Garth Brooks, Tracy Lawrence, Mark Chestnut. My uncle, ironically, drove Mark Chestnut's tour bus, so he's a huge part of our family. I love Mary Chapin Carpenter. She was a singer-songwriter. I could go on and on.
This isn't like you, letting me wake up beside you. Last night you weren't trying to be my friend. We could go on forever, how both of us know better than to let things go too far, too fast again. But if somebody has to take the fall.
I grew up in a small town called Lorena, Texas. It's just right outside of Waco. And, it's just working class. My mom was a hairdresser. My dad was a mechanic. And their friends, just worked in town. Went to elementary school, middle school, high school, all in Lorena. If you went to town, you had to go 30 minutes into Waco. And just, a farming community, just hard workers. The atmosphere, the weather around Waco, it's flat. You can see for miles. There's almost every type of landscape in Texas, but where I'm from, it's right in the center, the heart of the state. It's actually called the heart of Texas. But it's flat. You can see for miles. The weather, it's hot a lot. We don't really get 4 seasons. It's just hot, and then it'll get cold for a minute, and then it's hot. The music atmosphere where I'm from, there are a lot of honky-tonks and dance halls and bars. Just country music, steel guitars, fiddles, swing music. But the radio stations in town, there's still a top 40 station, there's a country station. You hear all types, but if you were going out about town, most people, you're going to hear a singer-songwriter at a bar, or you're going to hear a country band at a dance hall. Songs you can dance to. Where I'm from, you do what's called a Texas two-step, so I can't really teach it to you right now, but that's, if you can't dance to it, then the people don't want to hear it. I cut prayer in a 6-pack because I felt like it was telling my story. I feel like when I'm dealing with things, I deal with them one of 2 ways. I pray about something, journal, really do some meditate and get in there, or I just, sometimes when that doesn't feel like it's working fast enough, you just want to go have a beer at the bar with your friends. So the contrast between those 2 things, that's why I cut that song, because prayer or a 6-pack, either one's going to help you deal with it.
It's been a hell of a night, it's been a hell of a fight. I've been boxing with your memory and the flickering lights. But every corner has a church and a bar, so I'll be okay. Well, it's a little early to choose, but whichever I do, I'll be busy working hard to get rid of you. I'm a steeple or a bar stool, kinda MIA. But I ain't lost, yeah, if you wanna know where I'm at. And I ain't gone, but if there was a doubt on the heartbreak map, I'd be in the middle, closer to over you, and throwing just a few more back. I guess I'm somewhere in between a prayer and a cold 6-pack. Yeah, it's either hallelujah or another round. Gonna pray you away or drink you down, with a Bible in my hand or a bottle to my lips. Well, I won't be at my job, I won't be at my house, but don't sweat it if you don't see me around. 'Cause Jesus or Joe's gonna know where I'm hiding off the grid. But I ain't lost, yeah, if you wanna know where I'm at. And I ain't gone, but if there was a dot on the heartbreak map, I'd be in the middle or closer to over you, and throwing just a few more back. I guess I'm somewhere in between a prayer and a cold 6-pack. bar stool, kinda MIA, holy water and a candle from a preacher man, gonna help me find my way. But I ain't lost, yeah, if you wanna know where I'm at, and I ain't gone. But if there was a dot on the heartbreak map, I'd be in the middle, closer to over you, and drink until my mind goes black. I guess I'm somewhere in between a prayer and a cold six-pack. I guess I'm somewhere in between a prayer and a cold six-pack. Yep.
I first started doing music. When I graduated from high school, I went to a college called Baylor University, and I was just, going to get a 4-year degree, take that path, and then that wasn't working out, and my mom was working at the community college in town. It's called McLennan Community College, right there in Waco, and she kept saying, Kimberly, you need to come over here and join the country band, because years before, in high school, I went up to my mom and I said, hey, I think I can sing. And she said, okay. And I said, turn around backwards and close your eyes. And I sang for her, and she thought, wow, she must be really good. Or she thought I was good. And so, like I said, by the time I went to college, she kept telling me, you need to come over to the community college and join the country band. And I kept saying, Mom, you can't go to school for music. It's just something you do. And then I made my first C ever at Baylor, and I wasn't going to be able to go back and rush and be in a sorority, which I feel like was divine intervention. And so I ended up going to McLennan Community College. I don't think I said my mom worked there, but she worked there. And I joined the country band, and that's where I had always written songs, but I hadn't played an instrument yet. I just had the words and the melody. And I started playing the mandolin there. I took mandolin, fiddle lessons, songwriting classes, theory. And there was actually a country band, and we went out and played around town. And then once I finished that degree, it was a 2-year commercial music program, the guys that I was in school with, they became my band, and we just started playing gigs around town. The first gig I think I had was a chili fest or some chili throwdown in Waco. And I remember this is just a random tidbit, my mandolin strap, it was my first gig I'd ever played, and I had to stand, and I didn't have a mandolin strap, and my guitar player took the shoelace out of his New Balance tennis shoe and gave it to me, and it was my mandolin strap for years until I got a big girl mandolin strap. But that's kind of how it just naturally happened. I did end up getting a college degree in speech pathology, but that's how I went forth into music.
Steel guitar that slid you across the room into my arms, kicking sawdust around that bar like we were on a movie screen. Blame it on the neon sign that painted you in such a perfect light. If you're mad because it feels so right, don't blame it on me.
I finally moved to Nashville because my sister, she's a singer-songwriter as well. Her name's Kristen Kelly, and she actually ended up getting a record deal. She kind of took a similar path, went to the community college, started playing around Texas. We weren't singing together at the time because she has more of like a country rock style, and mine's always been more traditional. But she ended up getting a record deal, and I had just finished my master's degree, and she called me and she said, would you like to come and sing harmony or background with me on the road? And I said, let me check my schedule. Yes. So I moved up to Nashville, and she was opening for Brad Paisley, Rascal Flatts, Alan Jackson, and I got to be a part of her band, and it was a really great learning experience. So that's what finally brought me up to Nashville. Some things have a name because it had a great melody, and it sounded like something that I would have, it spoke my language. I've been in that situation where I've been cheated on, and I'm not the type of person who has enough guts to slash somebody's tires or anything like that. I'm going to find a way to say, bless your heart, probably. And in Texas, when you say bless your heart, that's not a good thing. That means that you're really telling them off. But so that's how I felt like some things have a name. Felt. It was telling someone off in a very sweet and endearing way.
Calling what you want, some sort of cry for help or lapse inside your mind. Save it for a psychiatric PhD, boy, 'cause I ain't gonna buy. You know what you did, there's just one word for it. When you fall into her arms, darling, that's called cheating. And when I start walking out that door, baby, that's called leaving. When I close down the bar and let a friend drive my car, well, that's called drinking. If you're feeling what I'm feeling, that's called pain. Yeah, some things have a name. Let me know if I'm confusing you or moving just a little bit too fast. Goodbye to me don't mean I need a little space, and I might be coming back. No, when I'm gone, and you'll be all alone. 'Cause when you fall into her arms, darling, that's called cheating. And when I start walking out that door, baby, that's called leaving. When I close down the bar and let a friend drive my car, that's called drinking. If you're feeling what I'm feeling, that's called pain. Yeah, some things have a name. When I close down the bar and let a friend drive my car, that's called drinking. If you're feeling what I'm feeling, that's called pain. Make no mistake, yeah, some things have a name.
When I'm singing, I like to compare it to my dad's a mechanic, and it just feels like all the gears within me are lining up. It just feels like the language that I need to speak and express in order to just communicate with other people. I feel like it's what connects us all, you know, and I'm honored that I was given the gift to be able to do it. You know, I may not be the best singer or songwriter, but I was given a gift enough and put in these places and given these opportunities to share it. And I just feel like it's something that I need to be doing. So it's the language that we all speak. The inspiration for me, you know, all of the songs that we actually recorded today were on my most recent EP. And I had mainly been focusing on songwriting. And then I just took a step back and realized, you know, I didn't move here to just write songs. You moved here to be an artist. So I went back and I actually only wrote one of the songs on this EP. And I get inspired by great songs. And so I went back and I don't know how many songs I listened to. And if it was something that I just wanted to hear over and over again, I put it in a stack, and that's what I chose from to record. But it's the stories, it's the songwriting. And if it just spoke to me and said something to me that I hadn't written myself, but it tapped into an emotion that I had, then I also get inspired by the music. You know, I love the steel guitar and the fiddles, and I love music that has space for each instrument, and you can just really hear each instrument do the talking. And I just love that because it complements the lyric, and I get really inspired by good old country music. I feel like the guys here at MINIDocs, and even the people who, you know, the lighting and the people here at Blackbird Studio, it's just been a great and amazing day. I knew a little bit about what I was getting into, but just getting here today has been so much fun. And I feel like I've learned so much, and I hope I've given, and it's just been everything's looks so professional. It's just, I hope that it gets shared and it reaches out to people. I think that we'll convey that message together.
I know I shouldn't love you from the way we said goodbye, and I know that there are others with tears for you still in their eyes. But if I thought that you were lonely, I wouldn't waste any time. I'd be the first fool in line. Funny thing about a memory, when it comes to love, it forgets about the bad times and remembers what it wants. So if ever you are looking for a heart whose love is blind, I'll be the first fool in line. Yeah, I'll fall back into your arms again, just as fast as the fool I was back then. if ever you are looking for a heart whose love is blind,